Hi there, today we're going to be talking about the games that remind me of Spellbreak the most. But just as a heads up, there is no game like Spellbreak. None of these are quite a one-to-one replacement, and that's okay. These are just games that, again, remind me of Spellbreak. However, I will mention one game on this list, especially towards the end, that if you like Spellbreak up until the server's shutting down, I feel like you will like the one that I will mention at the end of this video. But that's enough of me yapping, let's get right into it. Now, one of the first games I want to talk about is Marvel Rivals, which at the time of this recording hasn't officially came out yet. The developers have said that it will release around December, but there were some playtests that I was able to be a part of, and it's quite a lot of fun. You know, just like Spellbreak, it has slow moving projectiles as well as projectiles that move so fast that you would think they were hit scan. I feel like if you like the Dominion mode in Spellbreak, that Marvel Rivals will just be perfect for you. It's third person, which is also a plus, just like Spellbreak. We need more third person games in the industry. I don't know how we let Fortnite monopolize the third person PvP shooter market, but we did. And Marvel Rivals is a nice welcome to help shake things up a little bit in that department. Of course, there are some abilities that kind of caught my eye, especially in the trailer, where there's this one character named Luna Snow who's ice skating, very similar to the Frostborn class ability called Alacrity, where you can also skate. There's also this thing called team combos. It kind of reminds me a little bit of elemental combos, especially like Dragonfire, where if you have two gauntlets together and combined, they do more damage. Or you have access to a unique and different playstyle, depending on the gauntlets that you have together. The same applies with the team combos, where let's say Magneto and Scarlet Witch are together. Magneto gets a freaking sword where he can just like chop through places and stuff like that. So I hope they keep that ability. There's rumors that they plan on taking that feature away, which I think it will be a little silly to do. But yeah, when Marvel Rivals officially releases, I definitely recommend you checking that out, especially if you like Spellbreak's Dominion mode. Now, the next game I want to talk about is My Hero Ultra Rumble, which is based on the anime My Hero Academia, and it is a battle royale that gave me a lot of the same feelings of Spellbreak when I first played it. They have slow and fast projectiles too. It's third person, which is a plus. We love to see that. And then one of the characters, Todoroki, has this ice sliding ability. It's not quite the same as Alacrity, but when I saw it, it definitely reminded me of Spellbreak's Ice Gauntlet Alacrity, you know? This game is a lot of fun. There's a lot of chaos. It's a mix between projectiles and melee. They did a pretty good job at combining everything together. I only had like 2 issues with My Hero Ultra Rumble, one of which was that every single attack kind of like stunned your character, or like not stun like CC wise, but kind of like halted your progress from running away or even attacking at some time. So that's one thing I didn't like. I know when I mentioned this on my main channel, people were like skill issue, and I just kind of disagree with that. Like, imagine you're playing Apex and every time you're getting shot at, not only would your movement be completely halted, but you wouldn't be able to shoot back. You see, like stuff like that, it's kind of silly in my opinion, but I kind of like still played with the game and I had a lot of fun. I won a lot of games too. That I was able to ignore. It wasn't a deal breaker for me, but I knew for some people they didn't like it because My Hero Ultra Rumble can really get into that, like that Jujutsu Kaisen meme where people don't call JJK Jujutsu Kaisen, they call it like Jump Kaisen or something like that, where when multiple people are hitting you, you just can't do anything, bro. You just take that beating, raw dog style, you know? However, the straw that broke the camel's back was the gacha system. Basically, if you wanted to unlock characters, it was through gacha. It was just the worst thing ever. Like, I would have just preferred to spend $10 to unlock a character, or even just grind my way to unlock it, which you could have grind to unlock it, but the grind would have been ridiculous to unlock that character, you know? But hey, if you're just bored and looking for a game to play, My Hero Ultra Rumble is a lot of fun. Developers did a pretty good job at making the characters feel legit in the game. The same with how the show goes. And by the way, I've been watching a lot of My Hero Academia episodes today, like from the new season, and it slaps. But yeah, playing My Hero Ultra Rumble was a fun time and reminded me a lot of Spellbreak. Next, I do want to mention Fortnite, and how much Fortnite reminds me of Spellbreak really depends on what season we're talking about, mainly because each season is so different from each other when you mention this game. For example, during the Avatar collab this year, I was getting nothing but Spellbreak flashbacks. You had the 4 elements: fire, earth, water, and wind. And even with the water, it turned into ice from time to time. It was more hit scan too. That alone reminded me a lot of Spellbreak. Plus the airbending ability had crazy movement, like how Tempests are known to have crazy movement in Spellbreak as well, right? And guess what they basically added during Chapter 5 of Fortnite? Blink. They called them the underworld dashes, but they functioned quite similar to Blink, where you had like 3 charges that you can use in succession if you touch the water. And plus there was also a medallion that you can use that can give you like the underworld dashes permanently on a cooldown, I believe. Don't quote me on that. It was a kind of a blur. But the second I started using this, I was like, oh, this is basically Blink. And they made it work in Fortnite. It didn't feel busted or overpowered. It worked in Fortnite, and you can still use these underworld dashes, and it was just so cool to use it in Fortnite, mainly because as a Spellbreak gamer myself, I never had a real chance of using Blink while Proletariat was developing this game. By the time I was playing it, they removed it, but just because of how much fun people had with this rune, I knew about it because they would not stop talking about it. And honestly, almost every single old montage of Spellbreak during its alpha state, you would see Blink, and it was just a cool little feature that they had. And I'm kind of glad that Fortnite added this underworld dash and still has it in their current season. But some of the differences are quite apparent. First of all, Fortnite is hit scan. A lot of the weapons are hit scan. It's not that big of a deal. I know during like one of their first Marvel collab seasons with Fortnite, a lot of people played it. Basically the one with Iron Man, it had Tony Stark Industries and whatnot. People said those abilities in the mini games were very similar to Spellbreak during that time. I didn't play Fortnite at that time, but they said that Marvel collab season that was very similar to how like Spellbreak was being played. And at the time of this recording, we are in another Marvel season playing, and I wouldn't say it's 1-to-1, but you have jetpacks, you have projectile items. It's okay, you know, it's colorful, it's a battle royale, third person. There are some similarities to Spellbreak. I play a Fortnite a lot of times with my friends. I have a blast just joking around with them. It's a cool time, you know, especially if you like battle royale. But even if you don't like battle royale, Fortnite's more like Roblox than anything else nowadays. They have so many different maps that you can mess around with. Like if you don't like battle royale, there's TDM, there's capture the flag, there's still like small versions of 50v50s, more like 12v12, red versus blue. There's so much you can do in Fortnite. They have rocket racing, which is at times oddly addicting. So I recommend checking out Fortnite if you haven't tried it out in a while, especially if you're looking for a casual game to mess around with friends. And another battle royale that I do want to talk about is Royale. It again has very fast projectiles, which I guess you could say was Spellbreak before Spellbreak, but there are some differences among the two, which I will get into later. It is a third-person shooter, which we love to see. It has fast projectiles as well as movement abilities, cooldowns to worry about, classes. It's really similar to Spellbreak in that sense, but in my opinion, the movement abilities are a little bit more stiffer and not as free as Spellbreak. And what I mean by that is like you have things like dash and shadow step where they had multiple uses. Like you can curve them, you can combine them with other abilities to make yourself go faster. But still, Royale was a great game, especially Royale Reforged. Honestly, I probably would have done more content on this game if it wasn't for my unhealthy addiction to Valorant. And speaking of that game, I want to include it as well. Now, I know what you're talking about. Valorant and Spellbreak are nothing alike, and I have to remind you guys that this is a video about games that remind me of Spellbreak, not games that are like Spellbreak. And there's a couple of things in Valorant that remind me of Spellbreak. One of which is Jet, which is their poster child. They have an ability called Updraft. Just like how Tempest has an ability called Updraft, where they're both vertically movement-based abilities. So that kind of reminds me of Spellbreak here and there. And there's also this voice line in Valorant where Phoenix asks Viper if her gas is flammable, you know?
Hey, Viper, none of your gas is flammable, right?
Phoenix being red, he's having a lot of fire, like the Pyro class, or the Fire Gauntlet itself. And Viper's abilities are related to like a poison gas, like the Toxicologist class. And Phoenix is asking her if her gas is flammable, you know? And if you play Spellbreak, the Fire Gauntlet and the Tox Gauntlet combined together create an explosion. Now, as someone who's making Spellbreak content in the year 2024, it doesn't take much to guess that I am a little bit delusional, right? But I feel like the Riot developers may have seen a little bit of Spellbreak, or whoever wrote this line or decided to include this line probably played a little bit of Spellbreak and wanted to add it in. I don't know. That's just my theory. It's my theory. Call me delusional if you want. I fully agree with you, but if it ever comes out that there was a Spellbreak connection there, you owe me an apology. Here I do want to talk about Deadlock. It's a third-person MOBA hero shooter, and I said that on purpose because it's a MOBA first, hero shooter second. It's in its alpha, but you are able to play if someone invites you to the game. If you want, I can add you on Steam, just let me know, and then I can send you an invite to Deadlock. Again, it's third person, which we love to see. I have my issues with it. If you like the Dominion game mode in Spellbreak, you will like Deadlock. I was never the biggest fan of Spellbreak's Dominion. I liked its battle royales and the 1v1s that we would set up from time to time. Those were like my favorite aspects of Spellbreak personally, was the battle royales and then the 1v1s. But hey, if you like MOBAs, go for it. Again, it's in the alpha, so it's going to be changing a lot. It has its moments of it being fun, and then but other times it can be quite frustrating. There's a lot of CC abilities in this game, which I was never the biggest fan of CC in any game whatsoever. And you also have to remember that I said it's MOBA first, hero shooter second. So I don't think this is an easy MOBA to get into. In fact, I don't think there is such thing as an easy MOBA to get into at all. At least none that are currently on the market that has a large player base that I can think of. If there is a MOBA game that's easy to get into and has a lot of players, let me know. I have yet to find one, but it does have a lot of potential. And since it's being made by Valve, it probably will be big and it won't die. I just wish Valve would have made a game like Spellbreak instead. It does have a lot of fantasy elements to it, even though most of the characters are just using regular guns. You know, you have your snipers, a lot of them are using like machine guns and ARs basically, but you do have some fantasy there where some people are using finger guns, electricity. Not everything is snipers, ARs and whatnot, but a good chunk of it is. And now if you don't like any of those games, but you did like Spellbreak, then this one is going to be the one that I know for a fact you will like, because it's Spellbreak itself. Yes. Spellbreak did get an update in 2024. It's by the Elemental Fracture community. Think of it as the North Star client for Titanfall 2, but on a much smaller scale. Maybe it can grow larger in the future. Who knows? Apparently they have the source code. Don't tell me how they have the source code to Spellbreak, but they do. So they could be doing more modding, more changes to the game and whatnot in the future. They have a Patreon that you guys can check out if you want. I don't own it, but I put out a video of me playing 10 hours of it. Spoiler alert, I played longer than 10 hours on Spellbreak just because I fell back in love with this game. There are quite a lot of differences with Elemental Fracture's Spellbreak, but there's enough similarities where if you like Spellbreak up until the server's shutting down, then you will love this version that they have. I think I'm going to still play Spellbreak every other Saturday, maybe every Saturday, who knows. There's not that many games on the market right now that can mimic the fun that I had on Spellbreak. So feel free to check that out. I made a video how you can download and set up the client so you can play with other people in the Elemental Fracture Discord. But yeah, these are the games that remind me the most of Spellbreak. If I miss any, comment down below. There could be other games out there that are similar to Spellbreak that I'd be more than happy to check out. But if you don't know any, that's all right. I just hope that you end up being a KDA warrior, where we kill the negativity, we say death to the excuses in our lives, and we assist our fellow man. Thanks for watching the video. Later.